Hello Year 5 and Year 6, welcome back to English Lessons Live with me, Mr. Phillips. Has it stopped lagging? It has, there we go. Hope everyone's alright, hope you had a good week last week. Sorry I wasn't around to make any videos, but we are back. We're raring to go. So let's jump straight into it, shall we? Shall we go straight to our Spag Starter? Here we go. So, prefixes, suffixes, root words, both our Spag Starters this week are based on those kind of things. So it says, draw a line to match each prefix over here to the correct root word to make a different word. Use each prefix only once. So we know prefix, group of letters that sits before a root word to change the meaning. The prefixes we've got are inter, dis, semi and anti. And then our root words are approval, circle, social and action. What I want you to do is pause the video and write for me the 4 words that you can create by combining these prefixes with these root words. You want to pause the video there and have a little go at doing that for me really quickly. Off you go. Okay. So hopefully now you've got 4 words written down. So the strategy for this, same with any multiple choice, one way you're doing root words or prefixes or suffixes, it's try it on. Just like you wouldn't buy a jacket or a t-shirt without trying it on first, you've got to try your answers out. Which ones seem to make sense, okay? So let's start with inter as the prefix. Let's try on all the root words and see which one fits. So inter approval, inter circle, intersocial, interaction. Ooh, interaction. That's one I've heard before. Inter-approval, inter-circle, intersocial, interaction. I've heard interaction before. I know that one is a new word. I'm going to link those two. Interaction, as in the people doing actions together. Inter, as in like internal. Yeah. So interaction is the action between 2 people. Disapproval. Straight away, I think I want something there. Disapproval, discircle, dissocial. Not going to do action because I've done that one. Well, straight away, disapproval sounded right. We've now got circle and social and semi and anti. So semicircle, semisocial, anti-circle, antisocial. Well, I've definitely heard of a semicircle. And antisocial is when you're not very social. You're the opposite of that. So there you go, those are your 4 words. You should have had interaction, disapproval, semicircle and anti-social. Well done if you got those 4. If you didn't, have a little think, what did you not do right in terms of the technique? What a lot of people find difficult is sometimes figuring out what the word should have been. So they could have looked at inter and action, but they might have not made the connection that made the word interaction. You just have to be really careful. Sometimes writing it down and actually seeing it as a full word often helps. Okay? Right, moving on to our writing. So we have finished with whatever we were doing. Zoo. I completely forgot then. Yeah, Zoo by Anthony Brown. We finished that. It's Park. Thank you for sending me in your writing, some of you. It's been really nice to read. Good to see a whole story typed up in neat. What we're going to try and do is we're going to try and write the beginning of a spy story. That's kind of our new focus, to write the beginning of a spy story. And I want to help you understand how to construct the beginning of a story, because I think that's sometimes one of the hardest things to do. So our first task is to generate character descriptions to use in the opening to a spy story. And I've got 2 pictures here to help us. We're going to have our female protagonist, our female spy, and our male antagonist, our female hero and our male villain. That's what our character's going to be like. You can change them if you want, but all my modelling is going to be based around this. I've got our 9 icons here to remind us of the 9 lenses of writing. If you're ever stuck and you say, I don't know what to write, it's going to be one of these 9. You can either write about what the character smells, hears, sees, touches, tastes, thinks, says, does, or feels. It's going to be one of those 9. So whenever you're feeling, whenever you think, I have no idea what to write, just think it's only out of 9. You've got to pick out of those 9 ones. If you're using the same one over and over again, you know you need to vary it. Okay? So today we're just going to generate some character descriptions about each of these characters because, get ready, I'm about to say something controversial. you shouldn't have a paragraph within your story that describes a character. Just in the same way as really, you shouldn't really have a whole paragraph that describes the setting. I know, controversial. The setting and character descriptions should be woven in to your action. Yeah, it shouldn't be right. Starting off, here's what everything will look like. Here's a description of the characters. Let's move on to the action. Now, often it's taught that way in primary school and as in terms of doing writing, because that's the easiest thing to do. It's easy just to group all your setting descriptions over there. Let's do that for 2 days, and then let's group all of our character descriptions, do that for 2 days, and that's done. Now we can leave that alone. But actually, in terms of books, all the great books that we read, none of them are structured in that way. That's not how it works. So I want to give you guys, being at the top of the school, kind of a bit of an experience of how to slice these descriptions into writing to create a more cohesive story, okay? The first thing we're going to do is exactly what I told you not to do. We're going to create loads of sentences about the character descriptions. But what we're then going to have is we're going to have a bank of descriptions that we can insert as and when we need to, okay? Let's try and generate a few for the girl and a few from the man. Now, most of these are going to be sight. We might get into some of the other lenses, but for now, we're just going to do sight. So just checking that my typing would work. Okay, let's try and get a couple for the girl. Right, what are the kind of overwhelming features of the girl? Well, straight away, let's talk about her hat. I think I'm going to talk about her hat. I'm going to talk about her hair. I'm going to talk about her... I'm not going to talk about her coat, because that is boring, Mr. Phillips. Don't want to talk about her coat. Let's talk about her headset. All of the H's. Hat, hair, and headset. That's what we're talking about for the girl. And then for the boy, I'm going to speak about his nose. That's definitely an overwhelming feature. I'm going to talk about his body, the fact that it's very, very thin. And I'm going to talk about his little Mr. Phillips quiff, which is sticking out of his hat. Those are things that have just kind of sprung to me. Obviously, there's loads that we could describe, but those are the kind of ones that stand out to me. Okay, hat first of all for the girl spy. What I want to say is she had a hat. That would be rubbish. So we want to try and make it sound dramatic. When we're writing stories, we want to entertain the reader. Okay, so in terms of the hat, I think it might be really good because we could have it pulled down low in quite a mysterious way. So, because it can like cover her eyes, so I might even start off with that, covering her eyes or shielding her eyes, because she's a spy. It's all about protection. That was my ninja protection moves. We want to maybe start off with shielding rather than covering. So shielding, it's I before E, except after C. Shielding her eyes was it's called a rim, a short rimmed hat, which was pulled down low over her face. Shielding her eyes was a short-rimmed hat, which was pulled down low over her face. Lovely. Gonna hyphenate short-rimmed there, because it's not a short hat and a rimmed hat, it's a short-rimmed hat. So that's one description, so it needs to be hyphenated. So, first thing I did there is I try and start off in an interesting way. I want to avoid too many thes or his or hers or as or things like that. So starting off with an ing word, often a really good way to go, or a subordinate clause, or a little fronted adverbial, or something like that, just to keep the beginning of your sentences different and so it flows nicely. Shielding her eyes was a short-rimmed hat which was pulled down low over her face. Added on a little bit of a relative clause there. Now, what I was doing in the previous year 1, year 2, year 3 and year 4 lessons is getting in this idea of like, what you don't want to do is jump around with your description. You don't want to be like, her hair is brown, her eyes are brown, her coat is blue, she has a hat. Jumping up randomly. I know my year 6s, when we did Scrooge and we did the Christmas carols, we spoke about you know, following the eye line. You know, you don't want to just be jumping around to different things. You want to look at something, describe it in detail, a couple of sentences, not just one, and then move to something nearby. You don't want to be talking about the hair and then go to their feet, because then your audience could be all disorientated. You want to try and slowly guide your audience around the character. Because remember, the writing you're doing, they're not going to have this picture. The writing you're doing needs to help them build the audience. And if you're going, she has a blue hat but black shoes, the picture that they're creating in their head is all over the place. So we need to be controlled, slow, and guide our audience around. So shielding her eyes. Straight away, another thought popped into my head. Eyes isn't one of the things I'm going to be describing, so let's throw it in as an extra description. Shielding her maybe dazzling blue eyes was a short-rimmed hat. I was going to put in blue then, because I was thinking, do I need to put in the colour? It was a short-rimmed, I don't want to say blue. If I'm going to say blue, I'm going to add the material. Suede. Is that how you spell suede? I'm not quite sure how you spell suede. Oh, there we go. See, I told you it was complicated. S-U-E-D-E. So suede is like a material. I could have said like a blue leather hat or a blue woolen hat, but suede is kind of like a nice thick, coarse material. Shielding her dazzling blue eyes. I'm not going to have her eyes being blue. Number one, because they're not in the picture, but also two, because her hat is blue. There's nothing worse. She had blue eyes, a blue hat, and a blue coat. We'll go for dazzling green. Is it green? I think I might be brown, I can't really see. Never mind. We're using our imagination. Shielding her dazzling green eyes was a short-rimmed blue suede hat, which was pulled down low over her face. Let's add a bit more. Why? To mask her identity from any onlookers. There we go. Every time I read it, I'm thinking in my head, oh, I can add this bit on, I can add that little bit of a description. So even though all we're describing is the fact that she has a hat on, we've built there a brilliant sentence. Now, I want to try and get another sentence in there, but maybe, well, if I was being lazy, I could cut this in two. I could say, shielding her dazzling eyes was a short-rimmed blue suede hat. Because I've added loads more in there, I could technically put a full stop and then say, it was pulled down low over her face to mask her identity from any long onlookers. That would be acceptable, but I'm not going to model that to you, because that would be me being lazy. I'm going to create another sentence. There's not a lot left, but it's this brown leather strap, and maybe on the brown leather strap could be kind of carved in the MI5 logo. I use my imagination, create something. There's nothing left to describe on the picture, so I'm going to create my own descriptions. So where is that? I don't want to just say there was a brown strap. I want to say where. So wrapped around, yeah, wrapped around the middle of the hat. The base, wrapped around the base, the bottom. Wrapped around the base of the hat. No, I don't need to say the hat. We know we're talking about the hat. We've just been speaking about it, so I don't need to say it of the hat. Wrapped around the base was a brown... Actually, it was a dark leather band. Band? Yeah. Wrapped around the base was a dark leather band. I've just noticed that I'm very, very closely following the structure of the sentence before it. We've had diddle-diddle was a, diddle-diddle was a, and then going into a relative, and I was about to go into a relative there. What I'll do is I'll write it out and then I'll mess with the order of it. Okay. Wrapped around the base was a dark leather band which had the MI5 logo carved into it. I mean, it's not brilliant for a secret spy, is it, to have an MI5 logo on your hat, but never mind. Okay. Like I said a second ago, the structure's really similar. I wonder if it sounds similar when I read it. Shielding her dazzling green eyes was a short-rimmed blue suede hat which was pulled down low over her face to mask her identity from any onlookers. Wrapped around the base was a leather band which had the MI5 logo. carved onto it. It's not awful, but maybe I can just swap some of the detail around so it flows. Maybe we could say there was a dark leather band wrapped around the base, so that gets rid of the wasser. And then, semicolon, because we know semicolons join two main clauses. That's a main clause. There was a dark leather band wrapped around the base, and then I could turn this and MI5 logo had been carefully carved into it. There we go. And now, rather than having a relative clause, I've used a different Year 6 technique of a semicolon. There was a dark leather band wrapped around the base. An MI5 logo had been carefully carved into it. Perfect. That's the hair. That was the hat done. Okay. Now moving on to the hair. I don't think I'm going to get all of this done today. I might just try and focus on the lady. We'll save the gentleman for Thursday, shall we? So the hair. Okay, now there's loads. I mean, some of them might be a little bit cliche and a bit overused, but there's loads of things we can pull and steal from other sources about the hair. You know, it's a blonde, golden blonde that's flowing down. We can use all of that. I love, and I probably overuse it a little bit too much, but I never use it in the same piece of writing twice, so I'm okay. I love comparing long hair to a waterfall and using the word cascade. I think that's such a great word, and because I don't ever use it twice in a piece, but I definitely have used it in a few of the pieces of writing I've done recently. I think I might use that. Maybe cascading down her shoulders was her like gloriously golden hair, something like that. A bit of alliteration in there. Tell you what, this one starts with an ing, so I won't start with cascading. So I might just say gloriously golden hair. Gloriously golden hair cascaded down her shoulders. Gloriously golden hair cascaded down her shoulders. No, I won't do that. Cascaded down her back, and then I can talk about the fact that she's got it in a ponytail. Gloriously golden hair cascaded down. Oops, daisy. Down her back. Tied. Oh. Not tired. Problem is, I've said it's gone down her back, and I'm saying tied back, which is a bit of an awkward, clunky repetition. Oh, tied together. Tied together? Held up. Held up? Held up, I don't have a ponytail. Don't know how you describe it. Gloriously golden hair cascaded down her back. Held up with a... we can't really see it, can we? Held in a tight ponytail by, get a bit of passive in there, what could be holding it? Something good, something spy worthy. Gloriously golden hair cascaded down her back, held in a tight ponytail by a metallic ring. Full stop. Here's a chance for an extra sentence. Remember, we don't just move on, we describe it. Maybe that metallic ring is a tracking device, so her bosses can use it to track where she is. Gloriously golden hair cascaded down her back, held in a tight ponytail by a metallic ring. To an unknowing civilian, it would appear to be a simple piece of jewelry. To the unknowing civilian, it would appear to be a simple piece of jewelry. But in reality, it was use another hyphenated word. It was a high-tech high-tech tracking device. Perfect. That one was one that just kind of flowed out. Once you get an idea, you can kind of run with it a little bit. Gloriously golden hair cascaded down her back, held in a tight ponytail by a metallic ring. To an unknowing civilian, it would appear to be... don't think. Oh yes, I do need a comma, because I could do it would appear to be a simple piece of jewellery to an unknowing civilian. I could flip it around, therefore, because it is a prepositional phrase, because to is a preposition. There you go, I am right. To an unknowing civilian, it would appear to be a simple piece of jewellery, but in reality it was a high-tech tracking device. Perfect. Last one is her headset. So I've started one with an ing and one with an adjective. Well, actually that's an adverb because it's describing the adjective. That's something we were learning in year 6, that adverbs can describe adjectives. That blew everyone's minds. So I want to start this one slightly different, and while I know they're not going to go next to each other, probably not going to go next to each other in the story, it's good practice to always be trying to vary the structure of these sentences. Don't ever try and just do the same thing over and over, it gets boring. So maybe we could start straight away with a preposition here, because I've not started with a prepositional phrase. So across her face. Now it's not very hidden, but maybe in my description I could say it was hidden, because I think that's more spy-like. Across her face, hidden extremely discreetly. A discreet, as in very very small amount, not easily noticeable. A discreet action is a very small, unnoticed action. Across her face, hidden extremely discreetly. So what I've done there is that's a bit of parenthesis. Tell you what, let's mark it with some dashes, because we can mark parenthesis with dashes. Across her face, hidden extremely discreetly. Was a. Got this again. This was a. It's a really easy trap to fall into when you're doing description, because you can do blah 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 blah. Was a this? So where it was a this? So I'm noticing it now, and I'm going to try really hard to avoid it. I've just noticed in the first one, I ended up doing it anyway, even though I tried to avoid it. Right, I'll do this one and then I'll go back and fix that one. Across her face, hidden extremely discreetly. Across her face. I'm gonna forget about reading this bit for a second, because that's parenthesis, so I can read it without that. Across her face. I could just go straight to the main clause. Doesn't have to be was a. Across the face, a flesh coloured, because I like the idea of maybe making it blend into her skin. I know it's not on here, but my imagination's better than the drawing. Across her face, a flesh coloured microphone was a flesh coloured microphone attached itself. Now was attached, I have to use was attached to her earpiece. Okay. It's hard now. I'm at the end. I'm trying not to repeat any of my structures. I have to really think about the way I construct the sentences. Across her face, hidden extremely discreetly, a flesh-coloured microphone was attached to her earpiece. Does that make sense? What do I do to check it makes sense? First of all, ignore this, and then I take that phrase and I whack it at the end and see if it makes sense. A flesh-coloured microphone was attached to her earpiece across her face. Doesn't really work, does it? Across her face, a flesh-coloured microphone was hidden. A flesh-coloured microphone was hidden across her face. That works. That's another way that I can test. If you think it sounds a bit clunky, just rearrange some bits, move your phrases to the end, just make sure it works. Across her face, hidden extremely discreetly, a flesh-coloured microphone was hidden. I can't say that. because I've said it in my parenthesis. Oh, first day back and we're having a writing nightmare, but I'm going to press on. I'm going to show resilience and persevere. This is all part of the writing process. Across her face, hidden extremely discreetly, a flesh coloured microphone hung. Tell you what, hung from her ear and hidden extremely discreetly. A flesh-coloured microphone buzzed and crackled. Done it! Managed to do it, fixed it. Sorry I didn't talk for a second then, it was focusing. Right. What I had to do then was, I just wasn't getting it to work because I was either running myself into a hole where I had to use the same kind of structure, or I was just describing things that were just not worth describing. So what I've done is I've changed it there from a look description to a sound description. Hung from her ear and hidden extremely discreetly, a flesh-coloured microphone buzzed and crackled. There we go. If you're running into a wall, think, right, I don't have to just describe it by looks. Again, I put commas around there to make it parentheses, and I just feel, again, I could do dashes if I wanted to. I just added the and in there because I thought it worked better. Hung from her ear and hidden extremely discreetly, a flesh-coloured microphone buzzed and crackled. Whew! Managed to do it. Right, let's get the second sentence added onto this before we finish. Something else about the microphone. It contained the most expensive technology known to man, but was as small as the head of a pin. There we go. Luckily the second sentence came to me much easier than the first sentence. It, again, is not something we've used, it's a pronoun, so that shows that we're being cohesive and everything's flowing together. It contained the most expensive technology known to man, but was as small as the head of a pin. So I've done two contrasting descriptions there. Really expensive and technical, but only as small as the head of a pin, and managed to include a simile in there as well. Okay. Well, wants a comma in there. Nah, we're not going to do that. Now I'm going to put it all together, and even though in my actual finished story it won't be all together, let's read it as one piece. Shielding her dazzling green eyes was a short-rimmed blue suede hat which was pulled down low over her face to mask her identity from any onlookers. There was a dark leather band wrapped around the base. An MI5 logo had been carefully carved into it. Gloriously golden hair cascaded down her back, held in a tight ponytail by a metallic ring. To an unknown civilian it would appear to be the simple piece of jewellery, but in reality it was a high-tech tracking device. Hung from her ear and hidden extremely discreetly, a flesh-coloured microphone buzzed and crackled. It contained the most expensive, I said tech before, the expensive equipment, maybe not known to man, MI5 had. Ooh. It contained the most expensive equipment MI5 had, but was as small as the head of a pin. Perfect. Whoa! What you just witnessed there is real life, a trial and error. Yeah, that's the reason why most of the time I don't plan these too much ahead of a time, because it's good for you to see me absolutely stumped and have to work my way through it. Okay. Hope that all makes sense. Let's just write some descriptions about the female spy. Okay, I want you to come up with 3 different descriptions. So I did the hat, the hair, and the earpiece, and even though they're written together, remember we're not going to include them together in the story, so try and write them separately. For each thing you describe, at least 2 sentences, okay? And just like me, really focus on the structure, okay? If you notice that all 3 of yours are structured exactly the same way, work hard to try and rearrange them, okay? I know you're doing an absolute fab job, and then next time on Thursday we will do the same thing for this fella here, okay? Thanks very much, year 5 and year 6. I'll see you tomorrow for a little bit of reading. Bye.